Hi, Carolina. Welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are so happy to have you join us today. Carolina was on our podcast on episode 88, and we strongly encourage you to all go back and listen to this amazing episode where we hear all about Carolina's skin products and her unique approach to aging. And there's so much wonderful information in that episode that we are bringing her back on today. And Stephanie and I got to meet Carolina in person last October in Florida at the Cabral conference, at the IHP conference. And we so enjoyed meeting you and listening to you speak there. And we're just so happy to have you back on the show today.
Yeah, no, so excited to be here again. Thanks, Marnie and Stephanie. Excited to share all the updates since, 2 years ago. There's a lot that's been going on, so excited to share.
And we're so excited to hear about it. And before we dive into all of that, we would love to know from you, what is one of your non-negotiables for you to start each day?
So I would say that having like a good, breakfast that nurtures me, that I feel that, okay, my brain is ready, I have the right feel in my body, and now I can tackle, whatever is needed. So I think maybe, that good breakfast is one that it's not negotiable for me.
So what is your favorite breakfast?
So if I exercise, right after I'll have like a smoothie with like protein and some greens. If I don't exercise, I'll have like eggs, avocado, olive oil, and coffee. So I try to get like the good fats, protein. You guys probably know about, obviously, the glucose spike. So I always like, my apple vinegar in the morning. So I always try to start the day with an apple vinegar and then I have my breakfast.
Well, it sounds delicious.
The apple vinegar, not
Well,
as
maybe not so much, but
yeah.
yeah. So, Carolina, as we mentioned, we heard all about your journey on episode 88, which led you to pursue a career as a scientist and focus on aging. And you moved from Latin America to California. You co-founded OneSkin. We're wondering if you could share with our listeners a little bit, what is a stem cell biologist?
Yeah, so a stem cell biologist is a scientist that studies the field of stem cell research. And stem cell research basically encompasses working with stem cells, usually either to generate a new tissue, because we know that stem cells have this ability to become different cell types in different tissues, or using the stem cells itself to for cell therapies or for some kind of injury treatments. One of the main properties of the stem cells that make them very useful for several applications is their anti-inflammatory capacity, because they secrete a lot of anti-inflammatory factors and growth factors. So we know that nowadays it's been, largely discussed for different treatments and even for aesthetics and even for hair growth. And that's one of the main advantage of stem cells, is because they secrete so many growth factors. They can actually help with the healing process and the regeneration process. So that's at a high level. And I think the interesting part of stem cells is that you can also induce them to to generate whatever cell type that you wanna study, and then you can see what's going on through that differentiation process, and you can play with developing and reversing the cell type to understand, even like in our case, like aging biology and how it impacts tissues and function of organs. So yeah, it's a very broad, but I think it has so much of potential applications, so many potential applications, and from there, we end up like focusing more on the aging biology and mainly skin aging, also because it's easier to replicate a skin tissue in the lab, more so than replicate like a heart tissue or a liver that's a lot more complex. So the knowledge of stem cell biology helped us to be able to reproduce skin in the lab and reproduce the skin aging, so we can understand this process and really come up with hypotheses that could be more effective in promoting this age reversal.
So I know you're a big proponent of reversing aging in the skin, right? And I'm guessing, like you said, that stems from stem cells. So, like, can you explain to our listeners what that looks like, or like how far out? I don't totally understand it myself. Like, how far out are we from being able to extract your own stem cells, not yourself, but having that done and then like using it on your skin? Maybe that's already happening. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually already happening. So, for example, you have stem cells in most of our tissues. A good source of stem cells that is easier to access or to extract is like adipose tissue. So if someone is doing some kind of, plastic surgery, you can harvest stem cells from your bone marrow. It's a, significantly easy way to extract, even though it still requires a surgical procedure. You can also extract from hair follicles. So I saw a company recently that they basically, collect stem cells from your hair follicles, that they grow the stem cells in the lab and they use for different purposes. From placenta. So, anyone that's, delivering a baby, you can stock some stem cells. So once you have those stem cells, you can basically culture them in a petri dish, and you can collect the supernatant, like the factors that those cells are secreting, and you can apply in yourself. Like you can either apply using like associated with microneedling in a way that you allow like the penetration better, or you can mix with some other, potential hyaluronic acid and do some kind of treatment. So this is already happening. Another, I would say, similar approach is PRPs, right? I don't know if you guys have heard about, these are platelet-rich plasma. So basically, you collect your blood and you centrifuge like the blood cells. You become only with like again, the supernatant and your blood. If your blood like is in a good stage, if you're a person that has like a good health style, you should have a lot of good factors on your blood. So you can also use that, extract that and inject on your own skin, or even for hair loss as well. It's been used. And
oh yeah, I've heard of that actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is so fascinating, all this like technology and advancements to help us age. And maybe we can back up before we kind of dive into some of this. How does skin health affect our whole body wellness? Our skin's our largest organ. But I think people maybe know that, but they don't truly understand the implications. And there's a lot of people out there that are concerned about how they look, and rightfully so. I think appearance is, something that many people focus on for better or worse. But can you dive into that a little bit more, just understanding like our whole body health and the implications with our skin?
Yeah, I love this question, because when we started studying skin aging and aging as a whole, we saw that skin was being neglected in terms of its influence in our overall health. So being part of this longevity community, we saw so many companies starting out to target different age-related diseases and trying to treat, different organs like your liver, heart, or brain. And no one was thinking of your skin through those lenses. And what we learned as we were studying more about aging and skin, because our skin is our largest organ, as the skin ages and deteriorates basically the skin barrier. That's the main function of the skin, of protecting your body against environmental stressors and pathogens. The skin barrier becomes weaker, and this allows the skin to be more susceptible to different infections and to increase in inflammation. So basically, our body becomes more exposed. And that inflammation that's being produced in our skin can actually impact our systemic levels of inflammation, again, because the skin is covering our whole body. So even low levels of inflammations that are coming from our skin as we are aging, this can impact our blood levels of inflammation. And we even did a study showing that if you treat your skin topically, you can actually lower the levels of inflammation systemically by recovering and strengthening your skin barrier. And this is mainly, it's more pronounced for older people. So in this study, for example, we had the participants from 60 to 90 years old, when the skin becomes really thin and fragile and tends to break really easily. But it's important to know that since at a younger age, because now we need to treat our skin as we treat the rest of our body, right? So not only with this lens of aesthetics, of looking better, but also to improve and maintain our overall health, and make sure that we don't get to that stage that our skin will be so weak and fragile that it's gonna, compromise the protection that it should be providing to our body.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah. So what types of things, or whether it's products or what we're doing in our life, could hinder, or I guess help, that barrier or protection that we have to reduce the inflammation at a cellular level, like inside of us, right? So either there are certain things we're doing that are causing it to thin and then provide less protection as we age, or the reverse. What can we be? And we can dive into that. That may be like a two-part question here.
Yeah, I think in general, like the aging process will lead to that, thinner skin and weaker skin barrier. So what we can do to prevent aging or reverse the aging? I think first is protecting your skin against sun damage. So we know that UV exposure is still the major driver of skin aging. 90% of aging is accounted by UV damage. So we can clearly see in our bodies the areas that are more exposed, and the areas that we usually forget to use sunscreen, like hands and sometimes chest. Yes, even neck. These are the areas that will age faster because we neglect and we just apply sunscreen in our face. So I would say sunscreen is in the number one, the easiest way to prevent aging. I think obviously hydrating and moisturizing your skin, make sure that your skin continues to be supple and intact. When the skin becomes dry, it tends to break easily. And I don't think this is only, a topical solution. I think obviously, it's from the inside out as well. So obviously your lifestyle, what you eat, but sleep, this will all influence. And the third way is try to recover that skin thickness or resilience. And that's mainly by increasing the epidermal layer thickness, which you can do with ways that, for example, peptides, and in our case, we have a specific and proprietary peptide that can help increase that skin epidermal layer thickness, and consequently increase the skin barrier strength. So I would say that these are, some good tips of what you can do in general. Yeah.
And the peptide that you talk about, can you tell our audience what a peptide is? I know you can't talk about your specific proprietary one, but just in general what that is. And then how does I know you've done lots of studies on that specific peptide and how it works for people in the OS is it OS1 cream? And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So peptides are essentially the building blocks of proteins. So for example, collagen, that's a very abundant protein in our bodies, in our skin, in our ligaments. It's made of collagen peptides. And a peptide itself is a sequence of amino acids. So basically it's a chain of different amino acids, and they can have like different functions in our bodies. The peptides that we use in skincare, and more specifically, the one that we develop, they can function as a messenger. So basically, they can be internalized by the cells, and they can induce certain pathways to be activated or suppressed. So, and pathways, these are proteins that will be overproduced or will be suppressed depending on the signal that the peptide gives. So in the case of our peptide, we had this hypothesis that one of the main drivers of skin aging was the accumulation of old cells in the skin, also called senescent cells or zombie cells. These are essentially cells that have stopped dividing, they are not functioning anymore, but the main problem is that they start secreting inflammation and they induce the healthy cells around to age faster. So we usually associate or compare those zombie cells with like a rotten apple in a bunch, because that zombie cell is spoiling the good cells and causing this accelerated aging process. And our hypothesis was that if we find a way that we can target specifically those old cells and reduce the amount of old cells in the skin, then we can make room for the healthy young cells to proliferate, to produce more collagen. Then we can basically rejuvenate the skin from the inside out in a very targeted way without disturbing the good cells, without any side effects. And we thought that a peptide would be an interesting way to do so. You can do this with small molecules or other chemicals, but the peptide is a biological molecule, so it tends to be safer. It's already used in different cosmetics, but we wanted a peptide that had this specific function. So what we did for the first like 3-4 years of OneSkin, we were just like researching and testing different peptides. We tested nearly 900 peptides before we got to OS1. And so basically the way that we were doing, we were testing different peptides, putting them in contact with those old cells and measuring which peptide could decrease the amount of those senescent cells. And then eventually we found the OS1 that has this ability of decreasing up to 50% the amount of senescent cells in the skin, and in consequence decreases the inflammation that's being produced by those zombie cells, and it increases the level of collagen and hyaluronic acid to a similar level that the retinoic acid would increase, but without, again, the irritation, the inflammation, and it's a very gentle way that can work for everyone, for people that have sensitive skin. And the most interesting aspect of our, not our approach, but this approach specifically, is that we can measure how many years we are reversing the age of the skin. So we can quantify based on the epigenetic signature how old is the skin that we are treating. So let's say 50 years old. And then when we treated with this peptide in the lab, we could see that we reduced 2.5 years the age of the skin over a course of 5 days, which was really impressive and exciting to see, because it's the first time that we can validate that a single ingredient can actually reduce the age of human skins. And this was obviously done in the lab, but it's already showing that it can be done. We can reverse the age of the skin. Now we are running a clinical studies that the people are using our products for 6 months up to 12 months, and we are collecting biopsies, because in order to measure the age of the skin, we actually needed to isolate the DNA and read the epigenetic signature. but we already have some preliminary data showing that we can reduce 3.3 years the age of the skins in humans with our product. So I think this whole new science of cellular senescence, how it impacts aging, how reducing the amount of old cells in the skin can actually bring your skin to a younger stage, and that you can quantify this effect, is really fascinating, because we are understanding better like how aging works and where we should intervene to actually promote this age reversal from a biological and functional standpoint.
It's so amazing. Like, it's truly amazing.
Yeah.
The way that works. And I'm trying to understand this peptide it's not collagen. It's helping the skin create more collagen. So
Correct.
like there's all these, different kinds of things. You can go to like a med spa and get injections that help promote more collagen growth, and you can take collagen, powders and whatever. So this is basically, you're just putting a cream on your face and it's stimulating collagen, and you're able to show that.
Yes. So the cream has the peptide. The peptide will penetrate the inner layers of the skin. So you'll get to the dermal layer, which is the layer that produces collagen and gives like the firmness of the skin. The peptide will be internalized by the skin cells that produce collagen, and will basically activate those cells to produce collagen as they would produce when they are in a younger stage, when there is not much inflammation in the tissue. And because the peptide helps in different ways reduce inflammation, also inducing a more efficient DNA repair process, this all allows the cells to become more efficient in producing collagen again. So I know that there are different ways that you can stimulate collagen production, and you can drink collagen, but I think the most interesting way is to use your own body to do what they already should be doing. And they stop doing when things get dysregulated, when we're accumulating inflammation in our bodies for different reasons. But it's interesting that we can recover that ability to produce collagen if we get rid of the things that are impairing that process.
So
I
it's
have
really
a few questions.
Okay, really fast, Stephanie. It's really not so much about aging as it is about the body getting out of whack over time, which is while you're aging. So you're saying you can recover that young, supple, healthy skin if you can get your body back in balance and back to, getting rid of inflammation and all the other stuff that we're all trying to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's essentially it. Obviously, the more that you accumulate damage and stress and inflammation, the harder it is to reverse that process to a very young age. So I think right now with the technologies that we have, we can show that we can reverse to a certain point. I believe that in the future we'll be able to do in a way that's even more significant. But obviously, today there are limits of how much we can reverse, but it is possible to reverse.
Okay, that was so fascinating, and really it was very understandable. Like, you dissected something that's kind of complicated. So thank you for that. So a couple of clarifying questions. The senescent cells you mentioned, do they actually, because you talked about you have these zombie cells and they're sort of hindering the performance of the healthy cells. So through the peptide, through OS1, are these cells being died off? And so they're not able to like in your bad apple example, they're not able to rot other cells. Is that what's happening? They're just literally just kind of going away.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's a little bit complex how it works, because basically the peptide increases the ability of the cells to repair damage and to reduce inflammation. So the best analogy that I have is putting that rotten apple in a bag, so that apple is not going to spoil the good cells around. And eventually, when you don't have inflammation going on and your body is able to eliminate that cell that they recognize that's not, shouldn't be there. So it's basically, I will go there to that basket and okay, this rotten apple is spoiling, and I will remove that. So that's how it works. Our peptide basically isolates or help that cell stop spreading the inflammation, and your own body will do this cleaning process of removing the bad cells that shouldn't be there. And our body does this naturally when we are young, and then it stops functioning well as we grow older, because the inflammation gets so overwhelming that the body stops recognizing which cells they should clear up.
Yeah. So like autophagy is kind of what sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So then the other question, like there's been a lot about peptides and people taking peptides and, also collagen. So do we need, from a purely like our skin standpoint, I'm not talking about other benefits for these, do we need another peptide if we're taking OS1 and using it regularly? And I'm curious, like in the studies, how long people were using the product, how frequently before you saw some of these initial results that you're experiencing?
Yeah, so I think different peptides, they have different functions. Our peptide, more specifically, we know how it works on decreasing the amount of senescent cells. I think other peptides can also stimulate collagen and stimulate cellular repair in different ways. So they can be complementary. I think we just need to understand if they are actually doing that, because defining the mechanism of action of a molecule is very complex, and not many companies have investigated that. So we will be testing some other peptides, and so we can also share our thoughts better about them. I know that another one that's very common is the copper peptide. There are a lot of studies. So we want to be able to show that, okay, these peptides could be used in conjunction. For collagen peptides, I think what's interesting about them is that you are essentially already providing the building blocks that your body needs to use to build collagen. It doesn't mean that that collagen is going to go to your skin. Maybe not, maybe yes, but since you have more of the same building blocks that you need, it could be for your skin, for your bone, for ligaments, for cartilage, and so on. This can favor this collagen production internally, because you already have basically the materials that you needed to build that collagen. So I don't think it is bad. I think there are very few studies that can show an association of ingesting collagen and improving the collagen content in your skin.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are taking a lot of products, and it's like, how do you simplify this too?
Yeah.
Which is what we love about, and we'll dive into the specific products you have. But that was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about so I take a collagen powder, and I just assume it's for my skin and my hair and my nails. Like I never really thought about the fact that I'm taking it. It could be going to my bones, or it could be going anywhere, right? Where my body deems it necessary. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because like I said, I'm sure many other people hadn't thought about that either. Before we dive into your products, I'm wondering if we can talk about antioxidants a little bit and why they matter, and why do they specifically matter for our skin?
That's a great question. So understanding antioxidants, basically what they do, they neutralize free radicals. And free radicals are those molecules that are formed that can oxidize our proteins and DNA. So basically they are causing damage in our cells and in our DNA. And it's also caused by UV, by pollution. So before you get to the senescent cells, usually you have like free radicals. And if the free radicals are already there, they are going to start causing that damage in the DNA of the cells, which can lead to the accumulation of senescent cells. So one way to prevent the formation of senescent cells is actually that can help is using antioxidants that can neutralize those free radicals that could potentially cause damage in the skin cells, proteins, and DNA. So for example, we know that vitamin C can be a very potent antioxidant, green tea, acai. There are many out there. There are many that we include in our products. One thing that we needed to be careful, because usually antioxidants, they can be very unstable. So vitamin C products, for example, you can see that they tend to oxidize fast. And if they oxidize, they won't be effective anymore. So today there are more stable forms of vitamin C that you can find in products that in a way, and we test a lot of them in the lab, even to add on our own products. And we even measure like some products in the market that they claim to be antioxidant, and when we measure the antioxidant capacity, we don't see any, free radicals scavenger. So there are some good products with antioxidants. There are products that unfortunately have antioxidants, but they are not active anymore. But I would say that they have their role in protecting our skin as well.
So maybe this is a good time to dive in and talk about your products, because when you were first on back in episode 88, you had one, you were working on the second, the body cream, but now you have, I think it's at least 5. So can you talk about like your product specifically, how, these peptides, I guess you already shared how they are beneficial, but the fact that you have this proprietary peptide and how this is really groundbreaking technology, and kind of not to shout out or say anything about other brands, but there's a lot of expensive beauty care products out there. How yours are more effective, and just continue to share how it reverses aging. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So when we started initially with the face moisturizer that contains the peptide. So the main purpose of our products is to target skin aging, to repair the damage that's been accumulated in our skin. So our skin will be more functional, will behave like younger skin, and will consequently look like younger skin. So the primary goal is really to treat the underlying cause of unhealthy skin or damaged skin in order to recover the function and the resilience of the skin, which will lead to a better appearance. Never the opposite, never focus on appearance first, because this can potentially compromise the health of your skin. So from the peptide, we decided to create a face moisturizer that's, the first product that everyone will look for when treating their skin, and a moisturizer is also very important. So as I said, on top of the peptide and some moisturizing ingredients, we also have several antioxidants. It's a very gentle product that can work for different skin types and absorbs really easily. So from there, we decided to treat the 97% of our body, of our skin, that's our body. So we went to develop this body lotion, which has been like such a great success, because I don't think many brands are thinking about treating your whole body. And then only when you start seeing signs of like crepiness or sun damage in your arms, in your legs, that you are gonna, oh my goodness, I never took care of my body.
Yeah.
And now I needed to catch up. So I think because this product was, focused on aging skin in the body, it has worked so well for so many people. And on top of that, we have the study that shows that by treating the skin in your body, we can also decrease inflammations internally. So it's not only to make your skin looking better, but it's also to improve your overall health. And from the study that we did, we also saw improvement in the thickness of the skin, the skin barrier. So the skin becomes more resilient, and shows like improvement in the texture and hydration and so on. From there, we decided to create a cleanser that's basically a gentle cleanser that it's supposed to promote like a light exfoliation of your skin. So your skin is more prepared to absorb the peptide, because obviously if you are out and about and you have, sunscreen, or if you have makeup and pollution, if you apply anything on top of that, it probably won't penetrate well. So we recommend using the cleanser at night, so you cleanse your skin really well. And studies that we've done in the lab also show that by cleansing the skin with PrEP, that's our cleanser, doubles the penetration of the peptide. So make the skin more susceptible to absorb the peptide, and increases the efficacy of the phase, OS1 phase. From there, what we also learned studying the different types of skin in our body. So we know that the skin from our face is different from our body. And what we realized is the skin around our eyes are around 5 times thinner than the skin around our face. And when we found a study that measures the skin biological age, and the skin just under or above your eyes is 20 to 30 years older than the skin around your temple or cheek.
Wow.
I know.
Oh gosh, that's kind of depressing, but okay.
I know, it's definitely depressing, but we noticed that because it's where we see first the signs of aging.
Yep.
And knowing that, what we did, we decided to develop a formula that was specifically designed to treat the eye area. So what we did, we got eyelid skins to culture in the lab, that these were like from blepharoplastic surgeries. So we got that very thin skin, and we were understanding first the amount of senescent cells. We see that this skin is highly damaged. It has more senescent cells than the rest of your face.
Huh.
And we develop a formulation containing a higher concentration of the peptide. So it's more effective in increasing collagen, in decreasing some aging, markers, aging genes, when we compare to OS1 phase. So the eye product is the most potent one because it's designed to treat this area that has an accelerated aging process. And from the clinical studies that we did with the eye product, we have the strongest data from instrumental analysis. So in terms of skin barrier, hydration, elasticity, which is usually really harder to get significant data with instruments. And that's why most companies, most brands, when you check clinical studies, they are only doing consumer perception because it's easier for people to think that they are looking better. But when you are going to quantify, it's really important to use instruments that makes the change more accurate. And when we shared this data with dermatologists, we have a board of advisors. They all shared that these are the best before and after that they have seen. So the eye products is really one that people see results faster, because obviously you see signs of aging more pronounced as well, but it's the most potent product from our line.
I have a question about that before you get into the sunscreen. I'm wondering, so you hear different things when you put on eye cream, right? Like you put it under the eye bone, or you put it up here and then it kind of seeps in. Is that your philosophy, or do you put it right on that skin?
I put it right on. Sometimes I go a little under, but because the product is so gentle, you can put right on, and you shouldn't, feel any irritation, any sensitization.
Okay, that's good to know, because I've been told places like you don't put the stuff right on your eye.
I think usually people recommend that because the chance that most products will cause some irritation is high. So they try to be more conservative.
Interesting. Okay, keep going on the sunscreen.
Yeah. So from there, and we obviously needed to develop a sunscreen, and we opted for a mineral one that is a non-nano zinc oxide. The zinc oxide is the version that's the safest one, for people that have sensitive skin, better than the titanium dioxide. And the main challenge of a mineral sunscreen, most people know, that's usually, forms like a white cast, so it doesn't spread really well. Our team did an amazing job of formulating a very hydrating and pleasant formula that spreads really well. We have a tinted and a tinted version and the tinted version is not supposed to cover, it's just like to blend nicely to different skin tones. And so this product is basically a trifecta. It protects against sun damage. It contains the peptide that helps repair previous damage that you have accumulated. And it has 5 powerful antioxidants that has this ability to neutralize free radicals, including one very stable form of vitamin C. So for people that love vitamin C, our sunscreen already has vitamin C. If you want to simplify, you can just use the moisturizer plus the sunscreen. If you want to either, simplify even further, you can just use the sunscreen in the morning and use the moisturizer in the evening.
That was a question I was wondering if that
yeah,
was.
even though because we have the zinc oxide forming like a physical barrier, the penetration of the peptide is a little lower than you would have from the face product. So if you want to double down, use both face plus the sunscreen. If you, for any reason, if you're in a hurry and you want to leave it, just apply one, then apply the sunscreen.
And could you put the sunscreen on your neck and your chest too?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely you can. Although we are about to launch a body SPF now in May.
It'll already be out when this episode drops. It'll be out, which is perfect time for summer. Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I think the SPF for the face just came out like around the time we met you in the fall. October. So I hadn't really used it for the summer. I hadn't.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited about these products. I just have to say, I mean, that OS1, I've been using it religiously since we met. And I added on the eye cream and I added on the cleanser. And now I'm going to start to add on the SPF. So this is just wonderful what you're doing. I love all this. I love that you've done so much research and science. And I think that's where a lot of women don't really focus. Like they go to a dermatologist, or one question we have, and I know we're going to run out of time here, we wanted to just kind of touch on is, how do you prioritize your skin? Like we talked so much about at a cellular level and what you can do for longevity, but there's a lot of people that just want a quick fix and they go and they get chemical peels, injectables, the Botox, the fillers, all the things. And I'm totally not judging anyone because I think you should do what you want to do. But, in a very short snippet, can you touch on that and how these products, if you start using them now, will help reduce the need for those other procedures in the future potentially?
Yeah, again, the main rationale about those products is really to harness our own biology to work at its best. So try to recover that stage of our skin in which we were producing collagen, in which our skin barrier was stronger and everything was functioning well. So if you start using this early on, you definitely will avoid or you slow down the aging process. So it will help you to avoid the need of such procedures. If you are already, obviously, at a certain age, that's okay. If you want to do Botox, if you want to do whatever injectables, I would definitely recommend pairing with products that are still stimulating your skin to continue to work for itself. Because if you do Botox only and nothing else, your skin will be like sitting down, lazy, not moving because the muscles are like frozen. And eventually that muscle is going to be weaker and weaker, and you need more and more Botox. So a lot of people that have been pairing both, they have seen that even the length that they need the Botox is now longer because your skin is being activated internally. And I think my main feedback or recommendation is always listen to how your skin is reacting. We all know about hormesis, right? A little bit of stress is good for your body to recover, and maybe, in the case of the skin, microneedling, produce more collagen. But if it's too much stress and if it's too much inflammation over and over, you are potentially causing more damage, and you're potentially accelerating aging instead of reversing aging. So I think those procedures that are focused on a quick fix and they cause too much damage, I think they are becoming more and more a thing of the past. And right now we are just trying to find that balance that you can look good, but focus more on the long term. It's not, there's no silver bullet. It's a process in order to keep that skin looking well, but also functioning well and doing, the job that it should do to protect our bodies.
So just to clarify, you don't have an issue with Botox. You're saying you can pair it well with your moisturizer.
Yeah, what I usually I try to advise people is like, don't do too much, because if you are doing too much, you're making your skin in some way like lazy.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you are stimulating your skin and making sure that it's still active in some ways. So finding that balance in which, it's doing its job, like smoothing the fine lines and wrinkles, which our product won't do the same result. Some people see amazing results, but like, we don't promise the same results.
Yeah.
But I think pairing in a nice way, I do, maybe I do once or twice a year, and I think that's fine. So
that was really helpful. And I just like how it may extend or reduce the need to have those procedures done over time, because you're giving your cells and your skin what it needs to rejuvenate and go back to when it was younger and thicken that layer of your skin. So that's fabulous. It's nice to hear how these products can integrate and work with people's existing, skincare routine.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the other advantage of our products. So obviously you can find everything that you need in our, simple line. But if you want to mix and continue to other products that you already used, even if you like, retinols or retinoic acid, it's a great way to pair with our moisturizer, because it's going to help like calm down and soothe your skin and really repair some potential damage that retinol can cause during this peeling and cell renewal process.
So it can be paired with other products.
Yes, it can be paired, no problem, with vitamin C, with any other creams. Our product is really, really gentle, so it should work with, any skincare routine.
So that's all super helpful. And I'm wondering, as we wrap up this conversation, if you could share maybe like 1 to 2 tips, I know you've already shared so many, that a listener could do to help reduce their aging process, just, both inside the body and on their face.
Yeah, I think be aware of the things that you're putting in your body and being able to measure as much as possible. So for me, I know that inflammation is one of the main drivers of aging in general. And obviously a lot of it comes from our diets, come from, toxins that are in our products. So the more that you can, clean your body and measure like how you are doing internally, the better. So I like to measure my biological age and see where I'm standing. Obviously, I think, stress and it's such a major component in terms of driving inflammation as well. So for me, I'm always trying to be mindful of like small things that I can do on my daily life that can help counteract inflammation. I don't have a cold plunge at home, but like I do it with a cold shower at the end of, I do like 30 seconds of a cold shower.
Yeah.
And I think those small things, they will help. The apple vinegar, whenever I'm eating like something sweet, or I love my banana pancake on, weekends. So
Yeah.
I think those small things are all adding up to reduce that inflammation. And another one that impacts a lot of your skin is obviously sugar. So I think in general, being mindful of what you're putting in your body, doing the basics well, but with consistency. I think consistency is probably the most important. Never, go to bed with makeup or without cleansing your skin. That's like the worst thing that you can do. But yeah, in general, you don't need much. I think 5 minutes of like a very good skincare routine can go a long way.
So helpful. Thank you. So Carolina, where can people find OneSkin and you? Where can they buy your products? I know you have a special offer. You could subscribe to all your products, which is really nice as well. And I have to say, you guys make it really easy to delay the subscription. So some people out there are like, oh, I don't want another subscription because I have too many products. But I get a simple text and it's like really easy to just like, oh, let's delay this 2 weeks if you don't need it. So I appreciate that as someone who has a lot of subscriptions.
Yes, of course. And in subscription, you get a good discount. So I think if you can keep pushing until if you don't need it. But again, consistency is important, and try to use obviously as recommended. So everyone can find us on our website, oneskin.co. I really recommend everyone to subscribe to our newsletter. We share a lot of the data that we are developing in the lab. Whenever we have new products, we run some consumer studies, so you can be selected to participate, to try early on some new products. Yeah, there's so much great content about longevity as a whole, about skin health. And on Instagram, we are also at oneskin.co. And my own handle on Instagram is at carolina.reis, Reis.Ph.D. And I think our discount for the community is living well, so all can get 15% discount. And I hope you have a chance to try. Yeah, these ladies can can share their own experience.
Yeah, Stephanie and I both highly recommend it. We're super excited about the product. So
absolutely.
One of the reasons we wanted you to come back on the show. So Carolina, as we wrap up this conversation, one thing we love to ask all our guests is, what does the art of living well mean to you?
I think it means to live every day to the fullest and trying to do the right things, which it seems simple, but it's hard. But just if you do the right things, I think you'll find peace with yourself. And with that, I think you solved most of our, your challenge. And that's an ongoing process of finding that place. But I believe that's one worth, investing in.
Beautiful, simple. Thank you. It's been wonderful to have you on and see you again. And yeah, we look forward to the new product that we'll be using by the time this episode drops, the SPF for your whole body.
Yeah, thank you again, Stephanie, Marnie. This was a great conversation again.
And we wish you great luck.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.